everyone. Wait, my hair okay? Cool. And welcome to the first episode of the React series. And yes, I know I promised in the yesterday sort of intro PowerPoint that this was going to be intro to astronomy, but we'll cover that tomorrow because as it turns out, today is July 4th. How did I mess that up when I made the PowerPoint? Anyway. And okay. So, with that interruption out of the way, I figured what way to celebrate July 4th than to react to Geography Now's newest video on the United States of America. I mean, there's a reason Paul posted this, obviously. I'm a huge fan of the Geography Now show. It's been around for about 7 years now, I think. But yeah, let's just get into this. Like the intro sort of montage here. You have all the supporting cast. Okay, that's actually really cool. Ian's mom, Paul's mom. That's pretty cool. Okay, so that was actually really nice and well done intro. Shame the U.S. wasn't the last episode he had to do. Obviously, he does this in A to Z order, so it would be Zimbabwe, I believe, would be the last one. But and if he did that for this, I honestly think he'll do something along those lines for Zimbabwe. But I like it was a really nice intro of places he's been and people he's been around. And I don't know what he's going to talk about in this, obviously, because it's an hour and 5 minutes and we're at about minute 2. But I honestly like the sort of symbolism here between sort of that America and your experience of the U.S. is about the people, right? About the people, about the places, about where you've been, what you've done, who you are. Like, put it this way, and I'm sure he'll talk about this when he gets to the demographics section. The U.S. in sort of its heritage is basically unlike any country on planet Earth, right? You have these sort of stereotypical white, obviously English, Scottish, Irish. Well, I should say pre-colonial. Wait, yeah, pre-colonial. No, yeah, colonial Irish. Sorry, I got my terms mixed up there. Then you have the waves of German immigrants and Irish immigrants that come around after the potato famine. You have the wave of Italian and Russian immigrants that my great grandparents belonged to. And Ellis Island, you had waves of Chinese and Japanese and Korean immigrants through I believe it was called Angel Island out in Los Angeles. I believe it was in LA. Don't quote me on that. But, and really, it's just the US is such a melting pot of different people from different places. Heck, if I'm not mistaken, Minnesota and I believe Wisconsin, the majority of people in those states identify as some type of Scandinavian descent. It's unlike realistically anything else in the world, even if Western Europe is slowly becoming like that in sort of this diversified national identity. But I mean, the US basically did it first. Okay, I know I'm joking. That's a little bit of that's our Americans. That's our American hegemony here in America, right? We've always that's our sort of belief in American supremacy, right? But I really like the intro. It was nice. I really don't have anything more to say about it. But let's continue.
By the way, you can get Geography Now merch like this Geography Now shirt at geographynow.com.
Oh, before we keep going, obviously the Geography Now advertisement. This may end up getting split into a few parts. I don't actually know how long I can upload videos to YouTube. So if this does get split, I'll just put like part 1, part 2, part 3. Okay, cool. Let's keep going.
Not selling out. If it's your brand, we did the UAE, the UK, and now the last of the United Triplet countries. After doing the channel for nearly a decade of my life, it's finally time. We have made it to my home country. Let's make this a big one.
Wait. Excuse me. Yeah, I had my air conditioner on in the background, so that might come in. I promise as I get better at this, I will do better audio. I will, obviously. Okay, let's keep going.
Here we go. Welcome to the United States of America.
America! No. It's my one, I'll embarrass myself with the episode.
I say it's a very complex place when it comes to the way that it's structured and the way that the domain administers itself. It's almost like 50 mini countries and 5 territories with their own unique identities, yet they all speak the same language and have some common understanding of American life. Everything is bigger, wider, spread out. We love shopping and having everything conveniently available now. And that's why we invent.
I love it because for those of you who don't know, and I mentioned this in the intro video, I'm originally from New York, but I spent a lot of my childhood in like Jersey. It's partly because most of my father's family was from New Jersey. I like for those of you who don't like live in the Northeast, if you drive in Jersey, it's all highways. Basically, you get off the Goethals Bridge, you're on 1 and 9 in Elizabeth, right? You get off the Outer Bridge, you're in Woodbridge. You get off, yeah, you can tell where I'm from, right? You get off what's the other one? Oh my God. Yeah, I blank on that. It's my own home borough of New York, right? You get off the Bayonne Bridge, you're in Jersey City, and we're not gonna talk about that. But as a matter of fact, there was a Louis Calamito Way that I'll be more than happy to show you in Jersey City. But if you go in like Jersey, it's all highways and all strip malls. And I feel like I don't want to say that's most of the country. But it really is sort of expansive in that sense. I mean, at least compared to New York, where everything's just sort of on top of each other, especially when you go into Manhattan. Right? Everything is like
things like fast food, the parking lot, the modern shopping mall, highway service plazas, drive-thrus, the barcode pricing system, credit cards, escalators, and public restrooms are everywhere and they're free. In any case, apart from that little civil structure overview, let's look at the map and discuss the actual location and sovereignty of the U.S.
I mean, public restrooms can feel like a prison every now and then.
Shall we? The USA is located on the North American continent, with the main chunk of the country, known as the Lower 48, where 98% of the population lives, is sandwiched between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans to the east and west, and Canada and Mexico border them on the north and south. The country consists of 50 states divided into 3,143 counties, or county equivalents, 3,243 if you include territory divisions. 3 states have weird.
What's interesting about that is that there's a few states that call them different things, or they're not necessarily called counties. I believe Virginia is one of them, but we'll look into that after the episode's over. Partly because I don't actually know off the top of my head. I think there's like 3 or 4 different type of distinguishable administrative divisions that aren't counties per se. I believe Virginia is one of them. I want to say Louisiana might be another one, but I'm not entirely sure. But we'll look it up afterwards.
Attached exclaves on the Canadian border. They are the Northwest Angle and Elm Point for Minnesota, Point Roberts, Washington, and Albert, Vermont. The only state distinctly divided into 2 continental land-based units is Michigan, with the upper and lower peninsulas. The capital of the country is Washington, D.C., which is a federal district not belonging to any state and is under direct control of Congress, despite having a higher population than some states. In addition, the U.S.
Also, what's interesting about that, so for those of you who are like, but Washington, D.C. has a mayor and who's currently Muriel Bowser. For those of you, no, in actuality, DC statehood is a very contentious topic that realistically could go either way, but there's basically political reasons as to why it doesn't. But while Congress does, excuse me, I have very long hair. While Congress does administer officially DC, it does leave a lot of responsibility to the mayor of the city, but say federal laws apply in DC over state ones. So for context, a crime committed in DC, let's say you live in DC and you're committed for I believe capital murder, say, you can actually get the death penalty, where I believe in Maryland you can't. I'm pretty sure there's no death penalty in Virginia either. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there isn't. So, like, that's interesting to think about. The federal government has a death penalty statute, whereas the surrounding states don't. Also, a lot of people, this should go without saying, but a lot of people that work in DC live in Arlington, live in these suburb areas that are either in Virginia or in Maryland. Just to point that out.
5 major unincorporated territories. They are Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, American Samoa, Guam, and the Northern Mariana Islands. In addition, there are 9 minor outlying islands, all of which are also unincorporated, except for Palmyra Atoll for some reason, even though all these islands have no permanent population. The U.S. has a disputed claim over 2 small sandbank islands in the Caribbean as well, both administered by Colombia. They are the Serranía Bank and the Bajo Nuevo Bank as well. That being said, this means if you include all the territories and dependency, the USA has a total of 11 time zones, although only 9 of them are used by people. 2 strange time zone anomalies exist, the first one being the Little and Big Diomede Islands between Alaska and Russia, and American Samoa and Samoa. The Diomedes are less than 3 miles away and are visible to each other, yet they straddle the international date line and are hence an entire day apart from each other. In addition, there are 325 Native American reservations spread throughout the lower 48. These areas, although under U.S. federal territory, have a degree of autonomy for the native tribes that administer them. The largest cities in the USA, population-wise, are New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. The busiest airports, however, are Atlanta, Hartsfield-Jackson, Dallas-Fort Worth, and Denver International. The U.S. has an incredibly wide network of roads and highways connecting all states except Hawaii, obviously. The longest one being U.S. Route 20. Although the U.S. does have a relatively wide rail network for freight trains, passenger train lines have decreased over the years in favor of road transport, and today the only long-distance intercity network is operated by Amtrak. Our largest shipping port is the Port of Los Angeles in conjunction with the Port of Long Beach, which are 2 separate entities yet physically joined. Finally, one last thing. Although the USA has no claim over Antarctica, we do have the largest Antarctic station at McMurdo, which can facilitate up to 1,000 people, and we also have the only station located on the geographic South Pole at Edmonton Scott Station. In case if you were wondering, it follows the +12 UTC time zone. Fun fact, did you know that in Hawaii it's actually illegal to laugh loudly, so you kind of have to keep it at a low ha. Few side notes. One, I made a video explaining the native.
That's true. Is that true? Somebody, excuse me, my back was bothering me. Is that true? I have to look into that.
American reservations and statistical areas, as well as territories of the USA. I figured they deserve their own videos because it's a big topic. Check them out. 2, each state and territory has their own flag, license plate design, and nickname. For example,
some of them are great and some of them are absolutely terrible. Excuse me.